And the deep empathy that Joe Biden has, my God, does American...
He doesn't trust institutions, he doesn't trust democratic conventions. And once he realised his personal touch had no effect when it came to the COVID pandemic, he didn't know what to do.
2-3 months in particular, I'm just not having it. The guy has tried to basically destroy American democracy. Anyway,
and he's been charged with inciting an insurrection.
And I hope the Senate convict him, because he needs to be stopped from running again. And American presidents need to be shown that the instrument of power in America is actually there in Congress and can actually keep them to account. ITV's Washington correspondent Robert Moore, you are one of the most experienced correspondents we have here at ITV, but even for you, that moment as that mob stormed inside past you, what was that like to be around?
Well,
majority leader there a year ago over alleged Russian collusion. He was rock solid behind Trump. No senator budged. Mitch McConnell yesterday directly linking the president's lies and rhetoric to the insurrection at the Capitol. Now, if that translates into him voting to convict Trump in the Senate, I would imagine that Mitch McConnell, given his power in the Senate, can bring at least 16 more Republican senators with him.
Which is how many he needs.
Which is how many he would need to add to the Democrats to get to be 67 out of the 100 you need to have a successful conviction. And if Trump is convicted, he becomes the first president in US history to be convicted in impeachment. Richard Nixon never reached that stage. And secondly, he would be prevented from running again. What impact could that have, do you think, on Trump's ability to have a rival party and so on?
I think you're right, Piers, to identify that Mitch McConnell speech last night as a big moment.
Then went and did that. They all get prosecuted and jailed,
and
but the man who incited it gets off scot-free. And I think that is the question I would put to Mitch McConnell and the other Republicans, because their oath under an impeachment is very different to anything else. We saw this with the Russian collusion impeachment. They take an oath when they go into an impeachment trial, which requires impartial justice. They're to put aside their partisanship and they're to put the American Constitution and law first. And I just don't see how you can let the inciter off and prosecute all the people he incited.
That's the...
And for showing us in real time what was actually going on there. It was remarkable.
Well, thanks for those kind words, Piers.
Good to talk to you. Well, it's going to be an amazing...
get some rest, because it's going to be a big day.
Yeah.
Susanna, you're right. It will be a big day. There's a pretty, as Richard was saying, a pretty ominous feeling here.
And Adam Lambert has supported Joe Biden in his bid for presidency. He called Trump supporters cult members, and he joins us now. Adam, we've talked to you a few times. And Adam Lambert has supported Joe Biden in his bid for presidency. He called Trump supporters cult members, and he joins us now. Adam, we've talked to you a few times.
Attention, he stands on the sidelines and carries on screaming. Tell us that you took part in Joe Biden's Celebration for Change fundraiser, and you say anything would be better. Just tell us a little bit about what you know of Joe Biden, because, you know, he has also been criticised. Sleepy Joe, you know, he's sometimes not, you know, 100% on top of his game, on top of his speeches. There's something a little bit ponderous about him. But he does seem like, frankly, a nice guy. And is that enough?
The way I look at it, obviously...
Well, LA County has been the epicenter of this virus. It's been horrendous to watch. One person every 6 minutes in LA County dying from coronavirus, a staggering statistic.
Stay safe,
Adam, stay safe there. Great to talk to you.
And happy birthday next week.
And at least tomorrow, from today onwards, you won't have to be frothing at the mouth every morning.
Oh, I'm so excited for the future.
Adam
Let's
Lambert,
hope it delivers.
We'll get the news channel weather. We're going to come back with Megyn Kelly, who is a Conservative commentator and may have a different view about Joe Biden being the great saviour. So we'll talk to her after the break.
See you in a moment. Has the lowest average of the worst US president.
But
Yesterday, he took the gloves off with Trump. He said that his lies and his incendiary rhetoric led directly to the insurrection at the Capitol. Now, the reason that may be significant, I think Mitch McConnell is working himself up to vote for a conviction of Trump in the Senate. And if he does, I think he can bring 16 more with him. Trump may end up not being prosecuted, and going to jail for anything, but he might end up being convicted. The first US president to ever be successfully impeached.
well, you're right that there's not.
Tens of millions of Americans. We know Trump increased his vote. All right, Biden had the biggest vote ever, and well done him. But Trump had the second biggest ever. 10 million more people voted for him this time than last time. What does Biden do to try and bring those people back from, as we saw at the US Capitol, almost a brainwashing influence that Trump has had over them into being violent?
Which has only just started. You said he's taught the Republicans how to fight. I mean, Trump is not going to stop that fight. What would you expect from him?
Well, I think just.
Great to talk to you, Meghan. All the best.
The podcast is The Meghan Kelly Show, and it's definitely worth a listen just to get a different perspective on things.
Sharp perspective, yeah.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because how does Joe Biden heal those divisions where you've got somebody who all these people support on the sidelines who's constantly scratching away at the scab? Can't happen.
There'll be a huge groundswell of excitement about Joe Biden, and there'll be a lot of positivity, and he'll say all the right things today. The really hard bit for him comes in a few months' time when he realises actually he's in a very difficult situation. The country economically is on its knees, from coronavirus it's on its knees, in terms of polarising sides on its knees. It's a big job, and the guy's not a spring chicken. He's 78 years old. Is it tough? It's tough.
And we're going to talk about that when we're joined live by former Prime Minister.
Rugby player in the country. Let's see what he's made of.
He's tackling the government.
Yeah, we got a few tackles for him.
You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV. Here on, and since the start of the scheme, 800,000 have been delivered. I mean, that's 500,000 laptops still to get out to children. What are you trying to do in order to help fix that situation?
Well, yeah, it's
in English rugby. You are the guy, whenever there's a fight and they pull everyone apart, we know that. And I mean that in a funny way, because you're a fantastic player. What did Muhammad Ali mean to you, though, on a wider context? Because there's a guy who, as a sportsman, probably did more to promote civil rights, certainly, than almost any other in history. And you have been, I think, very keen to push that as well, using your rugby profile.
So Muhammad Ali
world to make a difference, to effect change. What do you think is the most effective way to do that?
Well,
from Raheem Sterling, from black stars of our sporting world, but who are using their platform to talk about this stuff, to make people wake up.
I think understand.
I think Nigeria is third on my list of Twitter followers in the world, and it's all down to my Arsenal support. What are you feeling about Arsenal? And we are in the market for a massive 6'5" unit who likes fighting with people. Ever since Patrick Vieira left, we've been looking for one. Do you fancy crossing the divide? Do you fancy renouncing rugby and coming and saving Arsenal's back four?
Well, I think
is one of the things I find so hard to handle in this crisis, and the fact that so many vulnerable, disadvantaged families do not have the resources to be able to enable their kids to access the education that is in place for them, I find utterly heartbreaking. I mean, this is going to have a legacy for generations, isn't it? And Mary, you're doing excellent work in raising awareness of it. Thank you so much, and all the very best.
And you know what? You're such a pussycat, aren't you? Huh?
Yeah, right. Yes, please, Maro, please do. Thank you ever so much.
He's not even rising to that. Look, I can't even wind him up.
Because he knows he only has to, be somewhere close to you and you fall over like a cowardly jelly.
Mauro, great to talk to you. You're a credit to your sport. Just go and win the World Cup next time and don't choke in the final. He's not even reacting to that.
Good. Yeah, he's a good man. He knows how to use his power. Good morning, Britain. It has just gone 8 o'clock. Here are the latest headlines. History will be made today. From South London by the Mirror's Kevin Maguire, and from North London by the Mail's Andrew.
Belgium, and it looks like we've got the mechanism to jab people. We just don't have enough of the vaccine.
Yeah,
President Trump.
Actually, I'm not sure we can say that. But
Well,
anyway.
President Trump's handling of coronavirus in the States has been utterly disastrous.
But we actually have a worse death rate than the Americans right now, so actually I don't think we can say that.
So then that is debatable.
I think
But
they could
Gordon
say they're
Brown,
both as bad as each other.
That, you know Joe Biden.
I think we've both got to do better.
Yeah, you know Joe Biden. Will he be able to do better?
Gladstone's last term of office began when he was 82. Biden, 78. Are you getting a little spring in your step, Gordon, for another run, given you're a comparative spring chicken?
No, I'm far too young to be a leader. You know, the last Prime Minister in Malaysia.
He's here at 9.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine that
hope
after
things
tomorrow morning, we no longer talk about Trump as the President of the United
you
States.
think we won't
He's
be
not
talking
going
about
anywhere.
Trump?
He's not going anywhere, I don't think.
It's interesting on
Maybe
Twitter,
even
though,
worse.
isn't it, that he's silenced. You know, waking up every day not seeing Trump, you know, at sort of 11 in the morning here,
Yeah.
firing off all sorts of stuff, and everyone leaping onto that
Yeah.
as the news agenda. He's lost that platform.
He has.
And I think that does diminish his influence.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not all that much in favour of banning things altogether. I quite like to have him where I can see him, if you know what I mean. Anyway,
On the naughty step.
Let me tell you what's coming up.
The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, joins us now on Good Morning Britain. So, because you did a press conference last week to clarify the rules surrounding COVID. And at the Downing Street press conference, where you were repeatedly asked to clarify rules, you said they were very simple. However, you also said that outdoor recreation is permitted in a restricted and limited way. Do you now acknowledge that outdoor recreation is one of those things that is prohibited under the COVID rules?
Well, exercise is what I was
Are prohibited under the rules. Exercise, however, as you say, is allowed. On this morning, last Thursday, you said people in England should be exercising on their own. Now, do you acknowledge that that's not the case, that actually you can exercise with one other person outside of your household? And the reason that I say this is that I'm asking whether you have sympathy with people who are still a little bit confused about the rules. And when you say they are very clear and very simple, if you yourself are getting them muddled up, that's not the case, is it?
Well, first of all, I'm not getting
Highest daily increase of the entire pandemic, and it comes at a time when the 7-day average has the UK as having